Good morning, everybody. It's Tom Christie back in the carving workshop, and this will be session 3 of carving a magnum-sized cork-bodied black duck drake hunting decoy. And in the previous sessions, we got things band-sawed out. Last session, we got the head shaped up. I have a little refinement to do on that this morning, and then we'll get the head sealed up. Session 3 is really going to focus on shaping up the cork body and getting things ready for assembly. If you're enjoying my channel and getting value out of it, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, but that does help me out. And any thumbs up or comments are really welcomed. Welcome back. Before we start shaping the body, I just want to do a little pencil of the perimeter of the head, so that as we're shaping the body, we don't take out too much material there. Just a quick shot of that showing the perimeter of the head. So we want to leave that area alone and round up to that area. Also, with the tail in position, marking where it meets the body here, where the covert area meets the tail feathers, so that I can do some grinding on here and do this bevel. I want to keep the strength here along the edge, but now I know I can bevel this area from here to here. I'm going to use my 3/4 inch round nosed saber-tooth burr, and very carefully, taking my time, trim off this oak tail piece and put a bevel between the coverts area and the edge of the tail. This oak is really hard, so I'm just going to take my time. This is one way to do a tail insert. I've also seen it done where you basically insert a square or a rectangular block of hardwood in the tail of the decoy and then cut it out as normal after you epoxy that in place. I just prefer this approach. It seems intuitive to me, so this is the way I like to do it. You can see I'm just carefully beveling that down. I want to leave about a 1/4 inch straight thickness on the back of the tail, just for durability. The tail takes a lot of punishment in the boat and blind, so we want it to be nice and sturdy. There's not a lot to hang on to here, so that's why I'm really taking my time. I don't want to speed this video up, because you can see I'm re-gripping multiple times just to keep my hands out of the way of the burr. Okay, that's probably enough on shaping up the tail. A little farther along and just finishing up here. And that looks pretty good. I think that'll work. Just a quick check on the rough fit on the tail, and that looks pretty good. So let's work on the body now. I'm going to use this 3/4 inch diameter round nosed saber-tooth burr, and burr on cork will go really fast. The cork is relatively soft, so you just have to watch you don't dig too deep too fast, and take your time. The cork is very dusty. As you can see, the cork dust is pretty heavy, and it doesn't get captured, at least by my dust collector as well. So you end up with a lot of cork on your shop apron and sleeves. And I would just recommend wearing a respirator, because you don't want it to end up in your lungs. Just continuing the rounding, of the breast, and you can see I've put a little separation there between the breast and the side pocket, a little dip as the feathers come back down the back and to the sides of the breast. And now I'm just rounding the back. I'm not going to have to worry about cross primary, so I can just round right back to the tail coverts on this particular decoy, which is nice. So I'm just rounding that up to the center line. I'll jump ahead on this because this is kind of repetitive. So I'm rounding under the rump area. And this little beveled area on the bottom of the decoy, just enough for a rounded edge there. I'll continue and finish up, and then we can do some layout work. All right, we've got that rough rounding done. I'll just give you a quick 360. You can see we're fairly round from the top down. A little bit of separation between the breast and side pockets here. Now I want to do some layout work and really define the side pockets and separate that from the back a bit so we get some nice shadows cast in that area. And that's about all the detail we're going to put on the body. Now I'm going to spend some time with my calipers and transferring the pattern onto the cork. So I'm just marking the top of the side pocket. I know where the back of the side pocket is from my top-down pattern, and then this ducks down as it approaches the front. And a dimension up here where it starts to raise back up. And I can see that comes in right in the neck area there. Okay, so that gives me some guidelines. I'll do that on both sides. The other thing I want to do is locate the cape, and then that'll help me locate these points. So I'm going to use my dividers and go from that point at the back of the cape to the front of the bird, and I can't quite get there with my dividers. So I'll add a 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to put this over here against a vertical surface so that I can use my dividers and locate. I need another 1/4 inch, so right there should be the back of the cape. Then I'm going to go from that point up to the front here, so I know where these are going to come in. Somewhere in that area, both sides. Usually strike a little arc there, so it's somewhere along that line, and then get a dimension from the center line out, and that'll nail down the location. Center line's getting a little faint there, so right there, both sides. So now I know where my cape comes back here. And this is the side profile. This is the top down, the beginning of the top down profile. So somewhere in the cape here is the widest point of the shoulders, if you want to call them that. I know ducks don't have shoulders, but that front part where it tucks into the side pocket right here. And then one more dimension back where, from the center line to where the side pockets wrap. And I know it's somewhere a little forward of this line here. So right in that area. Okay, now I have all the guidelines I need to sketch in the side pocket. I'm going to do that with a marker because it's going to be easier to see on the video. And I'm going to grind all this off anyway. Got a duck down here and then come up roughly like that. And then from the top down, goes out to here. And these join up back here. So this material I'm going to take out. Here's the cape. This side, going on my guidelines. And down here, I haven't done those. So I'll get those done and then we'll do some more grinding. I'm going to run this at 2 times speed, but I'm going to use this cylindrical saber-tooth burr and follow my guidelines. From the top looking down, I want to narrow it up and take it down to the side profile of the side pocket before I worry about doing a bunch of rounding. I want to get the depth right and also the width across the back right. You can see this cork cuts really fast. Now I'm going to start rounding a little more cleanup along that edge. And then I'll start rounding the side pockets and the scapular area. You can see I'm just rounding the scapular area up and across the back. Then I'll start working these side pockets. And I don't want a ridge here. I want a nice soft curve from the widest point at the water line up to this point where the side pocket meets the feathers of the back. Nice rounded shapes all over the bird. Now I want to create the little indentation here in the back to give it some interest in shape as those scapular feather groups kind of tuck together in the middle. And this helps define the cape feathers that are overlaying the scapulars. So I'm going to leave a little raised area there for the cape. Not much, just a little definition, nice and sturdy. Now I'll get the other side done. All right, I've got that rough shaped, and now I just want to do some quick checks on my pattern. That looks good. That looks good. Go back and forth on these dimensions and make sure that I'm in the ballpark. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be symmetrical. This looks like I could drop this just a little bit more on this side, just to match up with the other side. But overall, that looks pretty good. Now I can do some sanding to put a smooth finish on the body. And I've had this question before, you know, you can do some filler if you're gonna paint the bird. Since I'm gonna char this and I just want the natural cork finish, I'm not gonna try to fill any gaps other than the ones we talked about in the tail with some of that cork dust material. And the two-part epoxy acts as kind of a binder resin to hold, and that's what basically this is some sort of a resin binder that holds all of these cork pieces together. So I'm feeling pretty good about the way it's looking. I'll get some sanding done on the body like we talked about. Make sure everything is nice and round and smooth, and then we can work on some assembly. By the way, I'm choosing not to undercut the side pocket here. That's going to be down in the water, and every little bit helps as far as width is concerned when you're talking about stability, in my opinion. So I'm going to leave that the way it is for flotation stability. All right, I want to go back and make this dimension correct on this side to match up with the other one. And I'm just using my cylindrical to take that down a little farther. It doesn't need much, and then re-round everything in both directions. So that didn't take long. Let's do a quick check. Okay, I'm right on now. That's where I want to be. Now I'm going to change bits and go to my 1/2-inch sanding drum and just rough sand the whole body, shape things up. You can see there's still bumps and grinding marks, and I'm just going to take my time and do a lot of the rough sanding with the drum. Sorry I'm out of camera here, but we'll jump forward. You can see I'm just softening everything with this sanding. I'll do the entire body that way. All right, I want to get the tail installed. I've got Devcon 2-part epoxy, 5-minute version. And then I've got my cork dust. So I'm going to mix that in. To a paste. Gonna load that in. Try to coat all of the internal surfaces here with this mixture. Press the tail in place. work that into the seam. Not very pretty, but it'll give us a nice tight seam. I just cut a quick cedar keel out of 3/4 inch stock, and I've drilled clearance holes for the screws, and now I want to drill a larger hole for the head because I want that screw to be down close to the bottom here for strength. And this should be good. Just drilling a anchor line hole. Just using a 1/2 inch drill bit to put a little bevel on each of these. Now I want to seal up the inside of the keel screw holes so that water can't seep into that part of the wood. So I'm just rolling that around inside, get a good coating of the 2-part epoxy up and down the length of that. Same with the anchor screw hole. And I want to get both diameters coated in here for the screw head clearance and also the screw hole itself. It should be good. Just as a quick test, I dipped this in the tank of water just to see where this particular piece of cork is going to settle, and thankfully it settles right on my water line. It looks like I need to keep my weight forward, which is typical of a puddle duck. It's a little low in the back, so I'll make a correction for that, but I'm really happy with that. Okay, we're gonna char the body of the cork decoy, and I'm gonna actually do the bulk of that later, but I wanna char this area right around where the head is going to attach so that I'm not hitting the head too hard with the flame. So I'm just going to take the torch and try not to light it on fire, but we need enough of a burn that it penetrates, goes down in. If it does catch fire, it'll go out quickly. I've got a little Scotch-Brite material that I like to use to remove the rough stuff. You know, you end up with ash, and you don't want loose ash on the surface. Nothing worse than loose ash, as we say. Sorry about that. So this will take quite a bit of time, and again, we're going to revisit this later. when we do the bulk of the body. But that's pretty good around the head area. I'll get all the loose stuff off of there. But you can see that color is very black duck-like. And that's why decoy makers have used this technique for a long time. It's a cool way to get a nice velvety black duck finish on a cork decoy. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. Okay, everybody, I think this is a logical place to end session 3. I've got to let this head cure overnight, and then we can do a little sanding on the putty around the eye carefully. And then I want to get the head sealed before we glue it to the body, because I don't want to be spraying a bunch of wood sealer onto this cork surface and then try to char it. We're going to seal that up in a different way. So next time we'll probably get the decoy just about done next time. I've got the keel getting ready to be mounted, and then we'll weight the decoy, float it, and until next time, Tom Christie signing out. Good carving to all of you.